Before we get started, I want to say how exciting it is to have the pop-up choir and all the instruments going on. You really made something happen here today, so thank you very much. And we're excited about that happening in the future also. And before I introduce these two, I want to say just a word about the scripture and how it relates to celebrating Pride and all of our dialogue sermons this month. You heard from Kathy about how Jesus called the 12 disciples, really in essence calling all of us to share this light and love in the world. And Jesus said it's not going to be easy. And if you go later on in the scripture passage, just a few more verses in, that famous verse is there about if you go to a place and you're not well received, shake the dust from your feet. And so that's what happens sometimes when we share this light and love with people in the world. And I believe that that is connected for us all to be called to share that light and love in the world. But as we know, when we talk about people and the LGBTQ community, not issues, people, we know that sometimes there is rejection. And so this morning you're going to hear some stories about how we're having to shake the dust off of our feet and how this incredible love of God is so very present. So I would like to introduce to you some friends of ours, NV and Katie Gay. And before the pandemic, they started hanging out here, and you'll hear a little bit about that story, and so you may recognize them from before. We are very excited that you two could be here today. You're going to share a little bit about yourselves, about your faith journey, and about how we can be even more so in advocacy for welcoming and affirming congregations and people in that sense. So let me start off with just tell us a little bit about who you are and what you do during the day.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Envy, they, them pronouns, and I am a photographer and advocate here in Columbus. A lot of my photography work comes from uplifting marginalized communities and telling stories for those whose story gets overlooked constantly.
Hello, everyone. My name is Katie Gay. I'm an educator. I work with kindergarten through third grade special needs students in Groveport, Madison. Currently, I'm on summer break, and so I've been doing a lot of reading during the day and doing yard work and snuggling with our fur babies. So nice, relaxing summer for me.
Great. Okay, now tell us how the two of you met and got married and all that stuff.
So Envy and I are high school sweethearts. We met when our younger brothers were playing OYAA baseball. So we spent many a summer at the baseball diamond. We started dating in high school. I went off to college, and they followed me a year later, Ashland University, where we both studied to be educators. And after college, we got married.
Great, great. Now, tell us about how you found North Broadway and got connected here.
So I grew up in the Methodist faith. So when we decided to start looking for a church, I obviously wanted to look for one that was Methodist. And a Google search revealed that North Broadway was an affirming church, which was very important to us as we were looking right around the time that Envy had come out as gender fluid. So that's how we found you all.
Now, isn't there a little connection from second grade?
Yes, so I was very eager to check out North Broadway because Pastor Marcus was here, and when I was growing up, I went to Powell United Methodist, where for a short time, when I was around like second or third grade, Pastor Marcus was there, so I knew him already.
Great. I just want to get that in there.
I've known him for a long time.
Yes. Now, tell us a little bit about the display that's out in the gathering area and up the ramp. And if you haven't had a chance to look at the pictures or see the books that are out there, take a look at that after church today. But tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so the project is called This Is Trans. It is a transgender awareness portrait photography gallery. It's over 200 images large currently, not 200 here. I think we have like 25 images here. The gallery itself is of trans people from all different types of backgrounds, all religions, all places in the country, ages. I think we're ages 12 to 85. Just amazing people who are showing you exactly who they are. And each portrait is accompanied with the person's pronouns and an answer to the question, what does being trans mean to them? The whole goal of this project is to teach us what it means to be trans, not just to accept trans people for who they are, but to truly understand their journey, what they've had to overcome, and who they are as a person. There's a lot of narrative within the trans community that states that to be valid as a transgender individual, you have to be binary passing, meaning if you're going to transition male to female or female to male, you must do so fully with surgeries, with hormones, and live within the binary. That is very exclusionary to a lot of people within the trans community, myself included. A lot of people identify differently than that. And this project is teaching us that to be trans simply means that you identify differently than you were assigned at birth. So that gender that we were all assigned when entering this world, sometimes that works for some people and sometimes it doesn't. And so that's what this is trying to show, and that all trans identities are valid.
Great. That is very, very helpful to us. Now, I want to ask you about your faith journeys. I remember at the first service, this was extraordinary. So would because you have two different faith journeys, but tell us a little bit about your faith journey and where you are now with that.
Yeah, so I grew up in a very non-denominational church, Grace Point Community Church up in Lewis Center, and it was very toxic. To me, as a kid who was questioning, I was born with the last name Gay, so I was always trying to prove that I wasn't gay. Shucks, that didn't happen. But I was always trying to prove that I was this strong, heterosexual, toxic male. And the church was very toxic in the fact that it was pushing me to, identify that way, to be that person. And when I finally came out in 2018, I lost my faith. And it was lost because I couldn't see a way of being Christian and being trans. It couldn't happen for me. There was too much pain, too much just hurt. And as I came out and I became active, I was continuing to be attacked by so-called Christians who would use the Bible and their faith to attack me, to belittle me, to tell me that I was a sinner, I was the devil, I was a groomer, as we're hearing that word a ton now. And so it wasn't until we finally came here that I found a church that was accepting of who I was willing to say, we love you for who you are, and there's nothing wrong with you. You are beautiful who you are. It took a while. There was a service where, sitting right over there, I ended up getting up and walking out because I couldn't handle it anymore. But yeah, after long talks with you and Amy and others, it finally dawned on me that I could be a queer Christian and be able to live happily. And so, yeah.
Great. Yeah, I do remember when you walked out of the service in the middle of my sermon, I was like, what did I say? And then, lo and behold, it opened the door for, I think, some very extraordinary conversations that we had about theology and the love of God. So I was glad for that. So, Katie, tell us about your faith journey and where you are now in your faith.
So like I said, I grew up Methodist. I was confirmed Methodist, did the whole confirmation thing, went on a mission trip, which y'all are in for a treat. They're lots of fun. And as we kind of grew apart from the church when Envy had their identity crisis and finding out who they were, it was wonderful to come back to the church and find the same loving and accepting community that I had felt growing up, but also extended to my spouse.
Great. Tell us, a little bit in the scripture. We talked this morning about having to shake the dust off your feet. because you've been rejected in that capacity. Tell us about the connection with your families and times you may have felt some rejection.
Yes, unfortunately, like many LGBTQ folks, rejection is commonplace. And for me, I am no different. After coming out, I lost my family. I lost, pretty much everyone in my family. They disowned me for who I am, telling me that they could not accept me for who I am. Same with my wife's family here. We have one brother of hers that actually is amazing, which is great. But yeah, for the most part, I lost friends, I lost family, I lost colleagues, I lost a lot. I was a teacher. I went to school to be a teacher, and after coming out, they told me to go away because I'm trans, and they didn't want to deal with it anymore. So yeah, I lost a lot, and for a while, it was painful. I went through many suicide attempts. I had stays at mental health hospitals. I had a lot to overcome, but eventually I came to this point where I understood that all those people I lost were for good. It was a good thing that I lost those people because they were toxic. They were causing me pain. And what I gained instead was incredible. I gained a chosen family who loves me unconditionally, this group of friends who have surrounded me in love and done anything and everything they can for me. A church family that has been wonderful. It's what I've gained is so much more than what I've lost, and I am so thankful for that.
Good. Katie, what about you?
Like Envy had said, my family also was not accepting, and it was difficult because they still wanted to have a relationship with me, and I had to be the one to set the boundaries and say, no, like if you aren't accepting of my spouse, then we're going to have to redefine our relationship, and you are not going to see as much of me as you want because I'm not okay with how you treat the person I love, and it comes down to that.
Tell us also then about unexpected love and welcome and affirming and relationship.
I think one of the biggest stressors for us when Envy was coming out, along with talking to family, was also talking to our friends. We had a really strong group of friends from college that we were still seeing. Everyone sort of lived around the state of Ohio but has moved to the Columbus area the past few years. And when Envy came out and we told everyone, they showed an overwhelming amount of support. And we're all very strong friends to this day. And it was wonderful to have that support when family members weren't as supportive.
Great. You want to add anything to that?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I gained my chosen family, which they have showered me endlessly with love and support. And the people that I've met, whether through social media or met in person, I've had so many people come out of the woodwork. And at the same time, my journey has been able to help so many other people that I would have never thought would be accepting or LGBTQ identifying, have been able to come out and show me love, and for me to be able to come out and be like and help them along.
Right. Great. Well, I do want to say one more question, a little bit about how we can be even greater advocates around LGBTQ people and how we can continue to support. Obviously, we've welcomed you, but I wanted to talk just a little bit more. I know there are lots of legal things going on, but tell us about how we can even be better advocates and allies.
Yes, I mean, being an affirming church is already huge. I mean, so many LGBTQ people come up through Christianity and have so much pain and just can't see themselves being part of a church. And so having you all here as a place that accepts and loves for who you are is perfect. It's everything. I mean, it really is. Even yesterday at Pride, as I'm speaking with Love Boldly, who I work for on the board for, and we're talking about how as an organization, we help to bridge the gap between queers and Christians and make an inclusive place for queers in Christianity. All these people coming up and talking like, oh my God, I couldn't believe that I can find a church. I can't believe that I can actually be queer and Christian. And it's amazing to have places like this. But even more importantly, donating to local nonprofits that help to fight and help to work for LGBTQ rights, whether that is Love Boldly, Transplaining is another one that Chris is
Right.
a big partner here, Equality Ohio, Equitas Health. There's so many different ones out there. Or even like my project out there, there's a way to donate to my project to help me fund that as I travel the country. But also voting. August 8th, there's a special election, which a lot of people are going to forget because who votes in August? There's a special election coming on about the process for changing the Constitution of Ohio and making it much harder. And it directly affects the LGBTQ plus community because of all the bills in the House targeting trans youth and LGBTQ youth and LGBTQ adults. Yeah, vote. That's a huge thing. Going out, voting, supporting, and just being a friend, being helpful, being respectful, and yeah.
Good. Katie, you want to add anything or got it covered?
Yeah, you don't have to necessarily understand, but just working to be respectful. Pronouns, preferred pronouns are always a really big thing that's really simple and easy. And just making sure you're preaching love.
Great.
There is a way with the preferred pronouns. Everybody asks this question, how do I use preferred pronouns? This is the easiest way I ever say. Introduce yourself saying, hi, my name is Envy, my pronouns are they, them. That's the easiest way to get it started because the person's going to respond back to you the same way, and it's the best way you can be respectful to us in the LGBTQ plus community, especially the trans community, by hearing someone else use their pronouns and being like that. Oh, it brings a smile to my face every time.
Good. And as we said last week, we have a jar of pronoun pins out in the gathering area. If you don't have yours, put that on. I just wear mine here, but you can wear yours too, and they're out in the gathering area, and we invite you to have those. One thing I wanted to say is that last year I went to the display that you had at Stonewall with the trans pictures. And we got to talk at that time, and then I went up and saw a little movie, or it was an interview being done with you. And Envy gave a great shout out to North Broadway about what happened, during those years in the past, and how welcoming and how loving and affirming we have all been. So when I heard that shout out, I just got a big smile on my face. But I look out at you. You have the ability to make a powerful witness in this world with love when there is so much hate that is present. And so don't think you can't do anything, but we do things as individuals and a community, and it's making a difference in this world in a powerful, powerful way.
Can I add to that real quick?
Yes.
Yes. We hear so much hate on a daily basis. I mean, you wouldn't even be able to comprehend it, how much hate I hear. But one positive affirmation cancels all of that out. It makes up for everything. One person being respectful, going out of their way to say something kind by using pronouns. That one act makes up for everything. And so please, when you're out there, it's a simple thing that you can do, but for people like myself, especially people who are early on in their transitioning, it means everything.
Well, I want to tell you, too, from the bottom of our hearts, we are so thankful and pleased that you came here today to share this great love and light. So we thank you very much.
Thank you.